I'm looking to provide the indispensable network of services to the entire gig economy. It's 59 million people right now, but it's going to consume about 60% of the US workforce by 2040. Revenue volatility is a humongous problem. If you're a gig worker, you do not have access to the economies of scale or stability associated with traditional employment. This means that on a bad day, low demand, things like that, you're shouldering the cost, especially the very high gas costs, the opportunity costs, other forms of labor, and so on and so forth. So how much does income instability downside actually cost a driver? To finance this, it costs about 6% of income. It pushes drivers into the hands of all sorts of predatory lenders, and many of them are immigrants and not quite financially savvy for the US financial system, cycles of debt that can destroy families. If you want to spend this driving instead to eliminate the problem, you're going to spend about 14% of income, which is based on gas figures that are not like the ridiculous prices we've all been seeing lately. So at least 14% of income. And then it's no surprise that 67% of drivers to cope with downside income volatility rely on forms of debt, because while it's still very expensive at hundreds, if not thousands of dollars per year, it's cheaper than just driving and providing uncompensated labor for Uber and Lyft. We solve this problem for 1.1% to 2% of income. We provide a downside hedge, where drivers pay a set fee to invest in stability, where we cover all of their downside in exchange, not for a set fee, but a share of upside. The way that we do this is we provide a guaranteed a 90% confidence interval at about 90% of guaranteed income. So, being that they have a revenue volatility spectrum of about 30%, this 10% discount is quite livable. And being that we only take 4% of the guaranteed tops, it's again quite cheap for the driver compared to their other options. A driver simply enters their information, allowing us to pull their data, tells us when they want protected, and then they drive. Being that we create an incentive not to work, we have a simple backstop based on the acceptance rate. So you maintain an 85% acceptance rate, and we have you covered for that time period. Earn less, we pay you the difference. Earn more, we share your upside. Incentives are aligned. The resonance right now is quite strong. We've been live for about 2 months and have 101 users all around the country. It took us about a month to hit 30 users and another month to hit about 101. On the car ride here, I saw that we got 3 new users in the Slack. So we're seeing some nice weeks of growth. We have a wait list that's more than twice the size of our current amount of users. And the entire time we've been live, we've been making money. Do we have any fixed income investors in the crowd? You? How about real estate?
I own a bond.
You own a bond? Okay, so you're all seeing maybe, your bond's maybe paying you 2% if you're lucky, right? And your real estate's probably cash flowing you about 6%. We yield about 83% per year. So if any of you want to provide us some balance sheet, just let me know. Drivers love our product, and it's actually bringing people back onto the platform. So people that have quit driving Uber and Lyft on account of the income instability are coming back to the platform, which just shows how our incentives are aligned with the gig companies. We also have a connection to the CEO of Uber, and we're looking to pull that shit once we reach about 1,000 users. The opportunity here is about 825 million from the get-go. This is assuming only about 80% market penetration, but the number gets to be quite absurd if we can go beyond that. Along the way, we're building visibility and scale that these workers don't have access to elsewhere. So imagine all the economies of scale, all the stability, all the discounts available to an employee of a large enterprise, and being able to access them as a service. So the initial vision now is income instability. That's the draw that builds the community. But the firm as a service for this next generation of workers is the ultimate vision and the $20 billion opportunity. So right now we have 101 of the 1,000 users that we're seeking. We're really just looking to prove to Andreessen and Insight Partners and some other firms that have talked to us that the underwriting can actually work at scale. I don't know why they want to know. It's working 100% of the time not at scale, but fine. So we have the team needed to execute. My background is in municipal policy and finance. I was going to study development finance at Harvard and Tufts to help people and do finance at the same time because that's my passion. Instead, I found that an Uber driver in New Orleans, where I went to school, was facing the same problems that my mom faced growing up. So I'm building a product that I wish she had. And she's right there, by the way. Yeah, Daniel Che is my CTO. He turned down an amazing offer at Databricks, which is very hard for him to work with us, because he sees an even bigger opportunity helping millions of people. And are we getting there? Okay, cool. Well, look, we have top-tier VCs that want to work with us once we can prove that the underwriting works at scale. Insight partners, A16Z, tons of people you'd be thrilled to share a cap table with. So 250K gets us there. Probably the best deal of your life. Golden at Belay, email me. Thanks.
You have it in your notes, so I'll let you touch on it. Why aren't the Ubers and Lyfts doing this themselves?
Because they would become employers. They're spending $120 million per year to avoid doing what we do profitably.
The gig economy is fraught with churn, churn of employees out of the gig economy. How do you handle, have you thought through how you will handle this churn challenge when Uber and Lyft are struggling with themselves?
Yeah, so in the short term, we reduced churn. A huge amount of our users we saw were actually inactive for months before they started using our product. 2 of the inactive users that came back onto these platforms have actually volunteered to be brand ambassadors. So drivers are enthusiastically coming back to these platforms to work with us and volunteering to represent us. In the long term, you're talking about churn as sort of this secular trend. Another huge secular trend is the gig economy, which is exploding. This model of employment and the need for the economies of scale and visibility that we provide is again going to consume 60% of the US workforce by 2040. So in the short term,
Kai, is the gig economy exploding, and is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think it is going to be a horrible thing if a Belay does not exist.
Do you share the same amount of downside as upside?
No, we only take up to 4% of upside. So our underwriting is not good.
So 800 million potential market. If you take 10% of that, that's 80 million. That's not enough for A16Z to invest. So tell me about the other 59 million people and how you predict that demand and do that differently. Because I get with Uber drivers, how you predict demand and income, how do you do that for whatever the other gig workers or the other 57 million gig workers?
Yeah, so we actually were emailed last week by the COO of Rover, which is a dog walking platform that's publicly
That's a small percentage. What are the other like 20 million, 10 million large bodies?
Oh, sure. So there's massage therapists like my mom, there are Amazon Flex drivers.
Great.
There are tons of basically, for example, Vaughn's recently fired all of its union truck drivers to bring in Instacart shoppers. So the population of people that are doing app-based API work that previously was not app-based API work is exploding, but at the same time, the buying consortiums, the insurance consortiums, things like that are really job agnostic.
So you could do truck drivers?
I could definitely do truck drivers. We're actually talking to Marcus Womack, who recently raised a massive seed with Village Global about supporting truck drivers.
It's actually
All right, thank you so much, Kai.
Thank you.